Thank you so much, Chairperson, and other colleagues present in this conference. Our topic is online learning and institutional support experiences under COVID-19 at Papua New Guinea University of Technology. This paper is presented by Professor Gilder, Dr. Tindi, myself, and Ms. Maureen Tindi, all staff of Papua New Guinea University of Technology. Our study stems through from background of the study all through to the reference, that is the structure of our presentation, and I think we can dive straight into the study. In terms of our background, of course, we are all appreciating that COVID-19 pandemic created the largest disruption of education systems in history, and we all appreciate that the challenge to education institution was not only finding new technologies, but also using it and reimagining practice so as to help both staff and students pivot to new demands of technology-mediated teaching. In Papua New Guinea in particular, education of about 2.4 million students was abruptly disrupted by school closures as government put in place measures to mitigate this pandemic. And we also acknowledge that while the pandemic really caused massive upheavals, it also, forced us into an evolution, forced evolution, forcing us to make technology and use it to bring much needed change and innovations. So most universities became more innovative and more inventive. Now, it's very important to note that Papua New Guinea University responded to COVID-19 emergency teaching in a very unique way. One, there was payment made for site-wide license for Zoom app so that all staff could be able to do video conferencing with their students and teach remotely. There was also effort made so that the university subscribed all staff to Camtasia video editing software so that staff could produce high-quality educational videos that could motivate, inspire teaching and learning. Now, the students were also given laptops. Of course, this is a priority, a strategic priority of the university. Every student on admission is given a laptop. But the university equally, besides our normal LAN, went ahead and partnered with the mobile telephone company, where 20 GB of internet plan was given to each and every student. And of course, right now, we're also giving it to staff. There was also a lot of training that went on for both staff and students on technology-mediated teaching and learning. Now, this study was premised on a null hypothesis that there is no significant relationship between online learning and institutional support. This hypothesis was later tested, and we shall see the results later. Again, the study borrows a conceptual framework adapted from OYO and others 2018, and this framework postulates that institutions have their initiative they must undertake, just like individuals equally have their own initiatives that they must undertake. And these two, when done simultaneously and seamlessly, then there will be effective online learning. Provision of learning management systems, training on how to use them, ensuring internet access, technical support provision, provision of policy framework, and access to technology affordances like the computers themselves are very critical initiatives that institutions must undertake so that we make good of the digital technology that is raging through. Of course, this will take innovation in action. And I think for some good time, internet revolution has been here, but has never been taken serious until this COVID-19 happened. Of course, the conceptual framework is much more expounded on this schematic presentation here. But you will notice that individual initiatives are important, just like the institutional initiatives are in ensuring high quality online learning. In terms of literature, this study realized that there is no depth of literature in online learning and institutional support. Christopher and others found that prior adoption of educational tools for online learning had been there, but of course they had seen limited light until COVID happened. The same happens with Siemens and others 2015, Martin and others 2017, who both found a very strong correlation between quality online teaching and faculty support. Now, Schmid and others 2014 also discovered or found that ongoing technical support for learners and ensuring learners' digital literacy has a very strong positive correlation with online learning. Now, Rob and Gary in the same vein 2010 found that institutional guidance, tools, and incentives have very strong positive relationship with superior online learning. Now, in terms of methodology, this study used descriptive correlational survey research design, where we of course described the scenario, but also we, in attempt to find the relationship between the two critical study variables, used correlational survey. We also used mixed method approach. There was kind of a triangulation. We used quantitative and qualitative paradigms at different stages to get our, as part of our methodology. With a population of 3,000 students and 200 staff, we used Sloven's formula for sample size determination to arrive at the sample we have there. However, we had a little more than the sample size we had computed for. So we ended up having 44 staff and 636 students. Data analysis was done such that data on levels was done using frequency counts and percentages, and of course presented in diagrammatic forms, majorly as you will see in pie charts. Then there was also data on qualitative data was analyzed using themes, whereas data on relationships were analyzed using Pearson's linear correlation coefficient. In terms of study findings, and particularly in profile characteristics of the respondents, the study, while looking at the students' respondents, discovered that majority of the respondents came from STEM departments, presumably because they're a bit techno-savvy already, given that they're doing sciences. But interesting to note was that we had a paltry 25% of respondents being female and 75.2% being male. This is indicative of gender disparity in higher education, especially in this particular university, and I think it's a wake-up call for the university management and other key higher education players to ensure gender mainstreaming and put policies and legislations that can support more women to join higher education. In terms of internet data plan provision, the study found that 61.5% of students think that the internet plan was very helpful. 30% think that the internet plan was helpful, whereas 8.5% think that the internet plan was less helpful. Now, in terms of data plan provision again, but this time around we are trying to compare the period before the pandemic, the pre-pandemic period, and the pandemic period when the university started supporting students with the 20 GB internet data plan. So when asked their experience, 73.3% of the students thought or still think that the educational experience was better with this support that was given to the university compared to previous semesters. 24.1% think it was just about the same, whereas 3.6% of the students think that the experience was even worse with the data plan support that was given to them by the university. We also asked staff themselves to share with us their experience with the data or the internet connection that they are using for online teaching off and on campus. And 77.3% of the instructors reported that their internet connection used for delivery of lectures on and off campus was not adequate. Paltry 22.7% reported that the internet plan was adequate, and when we look at findings on PLCC, this study found the R value is 7.24, whereas the SIG value is standing at 0.004. Now, this study therefore found that online learning has a significant relationship with institutional support in PNGUoT, since the SIG value was far less than the 0.05, which was set, of course, as the maximum level of significance required to declare a significant relationship. This therefore implies that institutional support experiences significantly correlates with online learning. Now, basing on these results, the study rejected the null hypothesis that was initially stated at the beginning of the study and accepted its alternate, implying therefore that the more the university provides institutional support to students and staff, the better the online learning experiences at the university. Of course, this is very interesting since it corroborates some of the findings we had in literature, like the study of Neuza and Swapna 2020. It also does agree with the study of Rob and Gary 2010, and it's in line with the findings of Martin and others 2017. This particular study findings are also similar to those of Siemens and others 2015, as well as Martin and others 2017. Those studies found that faculty support is a very critical indicator of quality online learning. In conclusion, this study concluded that there should be investment in online education, and it should be aligned, and there should be synergy. There should be sense of direction and sense of purpose and responsibility. Of course, we're talking about leadership, and therefore, for us to make progress with online education, we must be proactive. And we're borrowing from Peter Drucker, a management guru, and who said that only three things happen naturally in an organization: friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else requires leadership. And so as digital technology rages through and innovation in action really is called upon, we have agreed that we have for short of underestimated the benefits of using technology. And therefore, we must have serious conversation, real conversations, and create value, value creation through design thinking, so that universities and other institutions of learning can gain traction, and so that we are really able to benefit from these digital provisions. But it will take some hard work, and of course it will take some resilience and passion, so that we're able to connect, network, and harness the dividends of digital revolution. In terms of recommendation, the study strongly recommends that there should be a rethink of institutional strategic plans so as to incorporate investments in online education. Now, this needs a very holistic, inclusive approach, so that there is likelihood of a buy-in from the low clusters, low from down upwards, and of course up down. This study also recommends that there should be a framework for provision of sustainable, ongoing instructional and technical support for both students and faculty. This study also recommends that there should be targeted digital literacy efforts for both staff and students, and this should be informed by digital literacy. Of course, I think this works well when digital literacy, is emphasized across board. This study also and finally recommends that teacher training institutions must inculcate ICT in their mainstream curriculum, so as to equip the teachers who graduate from these institutions with required competencies that can help them navigate the digital world and support digital cause. Of course, leaders, and especially higher institution players, must inculcate a corporate culture that inspires innovation adoption across board in those higher institutions of learning. These leaders must avoid saying no, but ask themselves under what circumstances can they say yes and make a commitment and drive ICT and change. Now, finally, as we conclude, we leave with a quote here that we cannot wait any longer because a digitally inclusive world awaits us out there. So let's rise up to the occasion and enjoy the dividends of synchronous and asynchronous learning. Let's rise to the occasion and be able to make our universities seamlessly transit or pivot into online learning. But above all, let's make the investments in support for both staff and students so that they're able to make good use of these technological affordances. This study was done with the permission of the university, so we acknowledge the university management. We also acknowledge our staff and students who signed informed consent and ultimately, participated in our study. As I conclude, I want to acknowledge my co-authors in this study, Professor Gilder, Ms. Maureen, and I want to now take you to our reference, just in case there are some, you'd wish to touch base with them. And thank you so very much. Once more, I remain Dr. Tindi, and from Papua New Guinea University of Technology. Thank you.